Welcome, and thank you so much for being here today to discuss conflict within chapters. I'm Danielle Reidenbach, Director of Leadership Advancement, and I'm the Chapter Advisor Contact for Phi Sigma Pi. I'm also in charge of Phi Sigma Pi's award-winning certification program called Leadership in Action. Just to note, this webinar will be sent to you in an email this afternoon for you to watch at your own pace if you are interested. So I want to start off today with a poll question. Have you already had to mediate conflict with members of a Phi Sigma Pi chapter? Feel free to press yes or no. Looks like everybody voted. Looks like 3 of you picked yes and 1 of you picked no. So if you picked yes, thank you so much. And you should be able to add some extra context to this webinar. Feel free to use the chat box to share your own experiences with the information we will be discussing today. So let's get started. In Phi Sigma Pi, students come from different backgrounds, have different leadership styles, and operate with different perceptions. Therefore, conflict is inevitable. And this conflict can be a good learning moment on how to work through problems. One way, as an advisor, you can be extremely beneficial is by mediating these conversations before they cause a larger rapport and clique problem within the chapter. That's why today we are talking about an approach through conflict management. For some of our college students, this is the first time that they are away from home, living on their own, and are dealing with, let's call it, adult conflict. Therefore, it's apparent that the students may be treading new waters in how to correctly deal with conflict. We like to see this as an opportunity to work with our members to learn how to power through conflict successfully and to take the skills they learn with them for the rest of their lives. When situations of conflict arise within the chapter, there are a couple of directions that we believe can be taken. The first thing that can be done when you hear of a problem is to remind the members involved about the mission of Phi Sigma Pi. Phi Sigma Pi National Honor Fraternity is a gender-inclusive organization dedicated to promoting lifelong learning, inspiring members to lead, and cultivating lasting fraternal bonds while always conducting our lives with honor. We consecrate ourselves to a life of social service with the goal of improving humanity through our principles, scholarship, leadership, and fellowship. This is why they are all here. This is why they are a part of this organization, to ultimately improve humanity with honor. Hopefully, this will remind members to look past their differences and work together to live the mission they pledged themselves to when they became a member of Phi Sigma Pi. However, if the issue continues, here are some next steps. If you would consider the conflict within the chapter or group of people is in the green level of the scale on your screen, the path you could take is to suggest that the chapter complete a Leadership in Action module. Phi Sigma Pi's award-winning certification program has 10 modules the chapter can complete on their campus together that could assist with conflict management. The list includes, under the Conflict Management series, Diffusing Explosive Situations, Say What, Talk It Out, or That's Not the Issue. Another one, Developing Emotional Intelligence, the Golden Rule. 5 more include, under the Start the Conversation heading, in the Heat of Communication, Positive Conversations in Tough Situations, The Way to Say It. And under Successful Feedback, Giving Constructive Feedback and Receiving Feedback. You can find the full objectives of the modules at phisigmapi.org/modules. Although the Leadership in Action program is a perk of membership for our members, not every member is familiar with the program. Therefore, we ask that you suggest a module to the members and direct them to the website for more information. They may also email lia@phisigmapi.org for more information on the Leadership in Action program. If the conflict with the group of people or chapter is reaching the yellow level of the thermometer, the students may need you to step in. You can do this by mediating the conversation between the parties. Let's break down the steps for a successful mediation. Step 1, pick a neutral and private location where everyone can talk through the issue. Step 2, once you have a location, pick a time that is convenient for everyone. Remind the parties to think of times that would work for them. Right before a test, when you are already stressed, in place of lunch, when you could get hungry and rush through the conversation, or when you have too soon, when you have to be at another meeting, maybe times to avoid. Step 3, determine who needs to be there, usually the people in the conflict and you, the mediator. Step 4, once the day is here, set clear guidelines. And here are some that you can set. Let the parties know that you are the mediator and not here to take sides or share your own opinions, but to simply guide the conversation and come up with a solution that works for all parties. Next, share the parties should use I statements. An I statement is a style of communication that focuses on the feelings or beliefs of the speaker rather than the thoughts and characteristics that the speaker attributes to the listener. So for an example, an I statement would be, I feel blank because blank when blank. What I need is blank. Next, all parties should take turns speaking and refrain from interrupting each other. Another one, create an understanding that even if they disagree with the other person, they're entitled to their own perspective. And lastly, if either party believes that the mediation isn't working, or if one of the parties needs a break, allow space. If at any point either party breaks the rules, stop them immediately and make them aware of the guideline they are breaking. Back to the steps. We're on step 5. Once the guidelines have been set, ask each party to share how the situation occurred without attacking the other person involved. Have the other party repeat back what they heard to show that they have been listening and understand. In step 6, when both parties have shared their side, then they can begin to search for solutions. Have members discuss what they need. By the end of the mediation, you have most likely reached a time limit or have reached a solution. If you have reached a time limit, make sure to set a time and date to continue the conversation before everyone leaves. Here are some other tips. If the parties seem to be having a hard time seeing eye to eye, you can step in to clarify. Just always explain what you are doing so it doesn't seem as though you are taking sides. So for an example, what I'm hearing Sally says is blank. Sally, is that correct? Next, try to pinpoint the issue and then have both parties agree that it is the issue. And lastly, keep both parties focused. Lastly, if the conflict between the parties escalates to the red level on the thermometer, it's time to pass the situation on to other resources on campus. These resources could include University Counseling Services, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Office, Sexual Misconduct Office, or the Department of Public Safety. I want to ask another poll question now. Bring it up on the screen. I want to know what your campus has, the following resources. So do you have all 4 of those? Do you have another? And if you do have another, can you please explain in the chat box? Looks like everybody's in, so share the results. So it seems like everybody has the University Counseling Services and the Department of Public Safety. And then it seems like 4 out of the 5 have the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Office and the Sexual Misconduct Office. Good. For quick reference, I created this resource card for you to add in your institution's contact information for the resources on your campus and print it out. I will include this in the email. So this is just a good way to add their phone numbers and make it a quick little card for your chapter and for all the members in it. So let's kind of recap what we had talked about today. So as an advisor to a Phi Sigma Pi chapter, you may run into some conflict between members. There are 3 ways you can assist based on where the conflict falls on the conflict thermometer. First one, if it's in the green level, suggest a leadership and action module that the chapter members can hold on their own. If it's in the yellow level, mediate a conversation between both parties to come up with a solution and compromise. If it's in the red zone, get the parties involved in contact with the right resource on campus. So that's where we're going to leave it today.